I think shooting film makes people better photographers, so I think everyone should be shooting it. No overheating on the R5. I'm not shooting HQ mode though, because that's stupid. I did not plan this video at all. As you guys saw, I'm starting to shoot more film. I've been a photographer for about 10 years now. In the past 2 years, I've been doing more video work. The reason I never really got obsessed with films, because when you shoot 35mm and you send your film to the labs out here in Southern California is known as this big wedding hub. And so all the film labs, I'm assuming they're doing mainly wedding photographers. You tell them, you put notes to don't touch the scans, don't do anything with the colors. Somehow it comes back looking like Jose Villa. He's one of the biggest wedding photographers. Comes back looking like his work. And no offense to wedding photographers, but I really fucking hate pastel, bright looking wedding photography stuff. Shooting 35mm, I just never really was wowed by it. I was kind of eh. My buddy Gil, his Instagram's at Gil's Photography. He actually owns a Fuji Frontier scanner. So he would scan mine into TIFFs and would send me the TIFFs and I could edit it. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's amazing. But it still wasn't enough for me to get into it. So I slowly been trying to get into it more, film. So I got this Elan 2, the Canon, and the lens I'm filming on right now, the Canon 24-70 2. I was able to put this on here and use it, and there's autofocus, and it's almost like a digital camera almost, but film. You guys can see I was using that a lot. It's just your standard SLR. I was using this maybe for 8 months. And in that 8 months, I had one roll in it. I would take a few shots on it per shoot, and then I would forget it a lot of times, or I'd bring it and I just wouldn't take it out just because I wasn't excited to use it. This whole video's gonna be rambling, so I'm sorry. But I'll get to the main point of it. The reason I picked up the Pentax was because I saw on Craigslist, and everyone was telling me to go Mamiya and blah, 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 but I didn't like the Mamiya RB or RZ 6.7s because they're a little bit older cameras, and I think they're meant a little bit more for the romantic photographer, which I totally love. I totally get that. If I'm shooting film, I'm not too romantic about the idea of shooting film. It's more romantic about the results. I know this culture now, photography culture, has become a lot about the gear. There's a lot of gearheads out here calling themselves photographers, but they don't really shoot much and all that, or they don't really have any vision or anything like that. It's just more about a gear thing. I guess you could say film photographers are kind of like that too in some way. I'm not shitting on anyone or anything. I'm just saying I'm not that person. I love my gear. I think it's important to know about your gear, and it's important to be happy and to love the gear you shoot on because it helps you want to shoot more. So let me just get into real quick on why I decided to get this and why I blew so much money. First things first, so this Pentax max shutter speed's only 1,000. You guys know I shoot in the desert a lot and daylight kind of stuff a lot, and so that was very limiting. That's why I had this Pyramid Canon Variable ND, which this thing's super overrated. Go with the Freewell. And on top of that, the max sync speed for flash is either 1/30th or 1/60th of a second. So that leads me to my next point. There's some info about this camera online, but there's not a whole lot of info. I don't know why that is, but when anything with Mamiya, there's a huge scene out there of Mamiya fanboys and just people that know all about the cameras. Not so much with the Pentax. So I definitely overpaid for this. This was $1,500. The Pentax with this lens was $800. If you're patient and you look hard, you could probably find this camera for $800. I'm not patient, and so I just went for it. So the max shutter speed on here is 4,000. That helps a lot. On top of that, the max sync speed for flash is 1/125. So that's a lot more realistic. And just overall, the build quality on this feels a little bit more modern. Again, I know people are very romantic about the idea of shooting medium format film. Another thing that's different, the viewfinder on here, the large viewfinder came on this. I don't like this thing at all. I really have to squint and stress my eye to really see what I'm doing versus the viewfinder on here. It just feels a lot better. Your eye kind of goes into a lot more. I'm sure there's hacks you can do for the Pentax to make it work out in your favor, but I don't know. I like the viewfinder a lot more on here. Autofocus, so that was the other thing. The autofocus is great on both of these actually. I haven't had any issues. They actually focus really good in low light, which is weird because digital struggles so hard, and yet these things do it like nothing. So it's a bit confusing. I don't want to be wasting time manual focusing. I don't want to have to disconnect with the model or the subject and all that. So having autofocus internal meters, both have internal meters. That just makes my job easier. And again, I'm chasing that final image. I'm chasing the results. I'm not romantic about how I'm shooting it. But yeah, other than that, I didn't really have any other complaints about the Pentax. I was happy with it. Again, after shooting 2 things with it, I was a little just bit uncomfortable, I guess you could say. So this already, I haven't done a shoot with it yet. So I was trying to wait to do this video, but I'm just too excited to talk about all this. So, but yeah, so far already, this already feels a lot more current, I guess you can say. Another thing, the backs on here, the backs are pretty much stuck on here, if that makes sense. So you can't really, they're not interchangeable. I mean, you get other backs and stuff, but once you put that film in, that film's in there until you're done with it. With the Mamiya, and this one's the AFD, you can put digital backs on here. I probably will never do that because I have an R5 that's what I'm filming on right now, and that thing probably will beat any ass off these new backs or old backs or whatever words. So you can see if you load it, you can just load it from there. Also, this cartridge feels a lot more sturdy and rugged than the Pentax's does. Pentax feels definitely a lot older. And then you get to actually take the whole back off. And then you see there's a little slide in there. So the whole point of taking this back off is you can have 2 or 3 of these backs with different kind of film stock. So say you want to shoot black and white and color. You can have one of these cartridges full of black and white film, another one full of color. Or say you need different speed films because you're gonna be in a contrasty kind of thing, or you're gonna be shooting day into night or something like that. You could put Portra 160 in one and Portra 800 in another one and switch them out when needed. So that overall was just a lot better. Also, finding backs for the Pentax, like on eBay, you can't really find any. 120 backs. There's 220 backs everywhere, but they don't make 220 film anymore. I wish they did, because you basically got more shots on the 220 roll. And then when it comes to all these Mamiya parts, there's a lot more parts out there. Also because I guess Phase 1 owns Mamiya now? I don't know. Listen to the shutter on this guy, okay? So it sounds pretty nice, right? You can't deny that film sounds pretty cool. Now, listen to this guy. So I don't know about you, but that shutter sounds a lot more solid. It's definitely a lot quieter, but it just feels less clunky. Scared that it's older, it might break on you a little bit easier. So I don't know if that's true, but I know my mindset, this is a little bit more stress-free to shoot with. On top of that, you have all the options for Mamiya glass. Everyone goes crazy about Mamiya glass. I guess it's sharper. Again, I'm just trying to get final results of an image that brands see, or someone, or just anything that can evoke emotion, whether if it's just in a regular viewer or a brand that wants to book me. I want to get them to be like, oh my God, look at this image, or I want that to stop someone and maybe change their perspective during the day if they're having a bad day, or maybe they're having a good day, and it's just like enhances it, convicts emotion, you know, just makes them think about something. Now, I think we covered everything about the bodies on here. Again, just overall, the Mamiya feels a little bit more modern, feels a little bit more solid. There's more support online for it. If anything goes wrong with it, there's probably more people that know stuff about it. The Pentax online, I haven't been able to find as much information. I mean, with that said, there's not a whole lot of YouTube videos on this, so I'm gonna make it like a full-out review. So, but yeah, with the Pentax, lenses are more expensive now because of their digital body. Feels a little bit more old and clunky. I don't know how much more older this actually is. The 120 backs are a little bit hard to find. Overall, the Mamiya just feels a little bit more of a workhorse. Let me just talk about why I am now shooting film and why I'm excited about it. You'll realize when you're shooting film, especially 120, because you don't have 36 exposures like you do on 35. On 120 film, you have, depending on what camera you're shooting on, you're gonna have either 10 or sometimes 9 to 15 or 16 exposures. You really put a lot of thought into what you're shooting. So even with 35mm film, I was like that, but I'm tenfold like that with 120. So I had my friend the Canon come over and we did a photo shoot just here with this backdrop. I realized I was very, very, very intricate with how I was posing her, how the lighting was, my composition, just everything. I was very focused, very engaged. I was engaged with her. I was engaged with what my eye was seeing. Just the whole situation, I was just was in it. I don't want to say I was taking my time, but I was kind of really focusing on, like, time kind of disappeared. So when you're doing like a professional shoot, you have to be very aware of what your timing is. I want to shoot so much film to the point where it's just kind of like I'm shooting digital almost. When we're shooting digital, we build a lot of bad habits. We just kind of, we're shooting. Sometimes we shoot, we don't even look what we're shooting just because we have digital viewfinders and stuff. We're just going for it instead of really focusing on what we're doing. With 120 film, I can already feel a little bit of a difference in my eye and the way I'm thinking about shots. It's just, it makes you slow down. Like, I don't even want to say it slows you down. It just makes you focus more. It makes you more aware. It makes you feel like you're taking a photo, you know? On top of that, the colors. I'm developing at home. I'm scanning at home. I'm using a bunch of Sin Still stuff. I'm just using the Epson V600 scanner. And so I'm probably not getting the most accurate colors, but I am getting colors that I love. And I'm also using Negative Lab Pro, and I'm sure Negative Lab Pro is kind of fixing all my developing mistakes. So I've always been struggling with like my digital edit. I would sometimes spend hours on a photo just because I wasn't happy with it, and I just kept messing with it. I was always just kind of chasing like the classic film shots that I've seen that inspire me the most. I don't really pay attention to what's on social media or on Instagram. That's one tip I could give a lot of photographers real quick, is just get off Instagram if you're feeling lost or if you don't know what direction your work should be going. Get off Instagram, go look at the great photographers, study their work. That was great work. A lot of the stuff on social media today is kind of just like garbage, and people are just recycling everything. I mean, I even think the same way about my work. I think a lot of my work sucks, and it's nowhere close to those great. Somehow my mind has just shifted from digital is digital. Stop trying to make it look like film. And that's when I really was just like, I need to shoot more film then. So again, after shooting 120 medium format film, just like, this is it. I had a weird, like, warming, happy sensation of like, this is what I've been searching for. So with that said, I know it will help my digital edits. Because one, I'm now accepting that digital is digital and it's supposed to look digital. And two, it's probably gonna make me edit a little bit differently. Maybe a little bit more natural, but still very stylistic, because you can still make film very stylistic. There's a bunch of tricks I wanna do with this that I used to do on 35 millimeter. Which I'm thinking it's gonna be like even next level on this. So I think a lot of people think film has this one look, but even the greats back in the day were editing their film. They were doing tricks. They're using different chemicals and different filters on the lenses and stuff to get different kind of looks, you know? So everyone that's like, oh, don't mess with film tones. Fuck you, I'm gonna mess with film tones. Sorry if that was aggressive. But yeah, so, oh, guys, sorry, I was just doing my thumbnail. One more thing, I got this really badass light right here. Let me just bring this in the frame real quick. I'm doing a video on this thing for sure. Look at this. So, I'm definitely going to do, oh look, that line's pretty dope though, right? I'm definitely doing a review on this. It takes V-mount batteries and everything, so get ready for that. I bought this with my own money. No one's paying me to do any of this, but this light's gonna be really dope. Yeah, anyways, again. Guys, can you hear me? I'm selling this. Again, it's not a bad camera, it's just not for me. I bought the camera 500, the lens was 300, so I'll sell it for 800. I'll give you a couple rolls of Portra, and I'll throw in this Peter McKinnon variable ND filter. Again, you guys know I talk a lot of smack on it, but it's just bad for blue skies. Overall, it's really sharp, it's beautiful and all that. I just can't use it because I shoot a lot of blue skies. So it's a no-go for me. I like the Freewell ones more and they're a fraction of the cost. But I know a lot of you guys still love this, so if any of you guys want to buy this camera, again, couple rolls of Portra and the free Peter McKinnon thing for 800. Let me know. For real this time.